I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and I'm here today with Andrew O'Donnell, Managing Director of Supercharged Stocks. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Charlotte. It's wonderful to be here. It's been a fun event, and it's great to talk to you again.
Yes, and we're here at VRIC, the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. Tell me a little bit about how it's been for you, what you've been up to here.
It's been a great show. Lots of energy. It's pretty upbeat. It's not, kicking at the clouds, but it certainly is upbeat. And it's been a great show for me as well. It's my first time presenting here, so I presented the Golden Triangle, or what John Newell and I are calling the Golden Corridor, and really kind of putting our names to that kind of area, because we found that both of us had similar picks up there, and we're pretty excited about what's happening up there. So it was great just to get out, kind of put that message out there, and kind of support the companies that I like to work with, and then also the ones that I'm going to be working with here in the spring as well, and some of the ideas I have.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, certainly a hot region. Great to hear that you're covering that. Another really hot topic that I know you're interested in right now is vanadium. Can you just tell me what it is that excites you about that space?
Part of it is I have a degree in economics and political science, so I like to look at things at a macro level and at politics, and vanadium is one of those elements or minerals or metals that is on the 23 most crucial lists that the U.S. has. So that I liked, and then doing a little bit of digging, along with some rare earth as well, but with the vanadium, we don't really produce any, and we're in desperate need of it. And I was surprised to find how much of it we use, just titanium and strengthening steel, and just general industrial use, but also how much of it is a future energy source. And I was really drawn to that because it has a science component as well as a tech component, and that drew me in even further with the redox battery and whatnot. So it got a hold of me pretty quick. And it's more of a difficult space for people to get their heads wrapped around, but I like it because if you like clean tech and green tech, then this is a good space to look at. And there's really exciting companies and things happening this next year that I think I'll take away just the pricing action that's been happening, just that there's a lot of great equity companies that are coming to the forefront.
Yeah, I think our investor audience and investors everywhere are certainly starting to wake up to the vanadium story. There are so many companies that are coming out there now as well. So can you explain what do you need to look at when you're looking at these vanadium companies? What are the qualities? Because it's quite different than precious metals or things like that.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is the cost of extraction, so the metallurgy. So what's the grade and how much is it going to cost to get it out? That can be a bit tricky. And then, of course, the biggest component is that environmental side with the making the oxide. So there's some companies that have very different strategies and different approaches, which is interesting, whether you're talking about Vanadium Corp, which is a Canadian company, or Prophecy or First Vanadium. All these companies are interesting for their own merits. And I know there's some more coming on the market soon as well. So it isn't just, can I compare this one to this one? Is that, what are you looking for? So I'm going to be doing an article and kind of a side-by-side analysis of some of these companies, because I'll be presenting at Mines and Money in New York. And I wanted to have people that, what should I be looking for? And do I want to be more on the tech side of producing the oxide, or what's the play here? So it's really fascinating, because it is, as you said, it's different than just simply getting out of the ground and leaching it and moving forward. But it is so vital for the future of green and clean tech, solar panels, you name it, energy, batteries.
Yeah, and aside from being different from precious metals and things like that, it has this connection to uranium. We've seen uranium companies coming out now and saying, "Oh, we've got vanadium too." So, is that a good combination for investors to look at, or should they be looking at pure play? How should they do?
No, I like uranium as well.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems with uranium is just, as we face with a lot of mainstream news type of things, is that the immediate gut reaction is negative from a general point of view. Is that, oh gosh, we can't do that. But if you have the ear of someone to explain to them that this is clean tech, that this is what we need to be doing if you'd like to have energy, this is a good solution, that people are a bit more open-minded to it. But because of some of the events, whether it was Fukushima years ago or Uranium One, most immediate reactions to someone who doesn't understand the space is, ooh, I'm not sure if I'm really into that. But it's just a matter of if they're open to it. So once again, especially in BC, is if you're an environmentalist and you're behind any kind of green or clean tech, you need to be looking at mining, and specifically you need to be looking at energy mining situations, which is going to be uranium, it's going to be vanadium and rare earth. So a lot of these deals, if they're combined together, I think there is a bit of a match there. Whereas it's a little bit different if someone says, I've got a gold moly play. It's like, oh, okay, it's a little bit different. So I don't see there being a problem with someone having a dual mix there.
Okay, and you touched just briefly on it's a critical mineral in the United States. Can you give maybe like how critical is it? What is the supply landscape like in the U.S.? How dire do they need it?
Yeah, well, it's absolutely it's definitely critical. So it's something that they know that they need and they simply just don't have. So they're having to buy it from China essentially. I think it's roughly, my numbers might be off, but it's 60% of all vanadium comes from China. They produce it. They have the largest redox battery in the world. They're really pushing things forward, partly because they can. They don't have to deal with the environmental regulations that we have over here. But there are companies that are trying to make, and there's some that think they may have solved the puzzle of being able to extract vanadium oxide and not have any carbon emissions. So if that's the case and they can do it at scale, that's a big game changer. And there's some companies out there claiming they're close and they're testing out new technologies. So there's a technology play as well as a vanadium land story and mining story. That can change things a lot, but we've got pretty tight regulations, which is great in North America, and that's held off a lot of actual production of vanadium. So I like that, though, because it means that there's a demand, and it's really towards a lot of these future story type ideas. So it's one of these, we're just getting used to it now. We're just getting, opening up the envelope to it. So that's what I like, is that it's got a longer story. Whether or not it's the short term is fine. It's that we need this.
Yeah, I'll let you step away from vanadium a little bit. You meant this, so this is a clean energy trend. This is the future. Yep. What other trends are you watching for 2019?
Total ones that's totally different is I love esports. So that I got into actually years ago. My nephew had told me about this site Twitch, and he's like, Andrew, that kids are getting paid to play video games. I was like, no, you're out of your mind. So and it was quite a conversation, but he showed me this site, and I was baffled by seeing donations, $20, $40, $50. I was like, wait a second, what? Like these young guys and girls, I was like, wow, look at how much they're getting paid per hour just simply off donations. And then you start to see all the ways they've monetized this. And some of the research I've read is that they still haven't even monetized it to any degree compared to something like NFL football, even though its worldwide numbers are about the same, or if not more. So it's taken off in places in Asia, like gangbusters, and they fill stadiums with people to watch these events, which is why they call it a sport, an e-sport. And we really haven't scratched the surface over here. So that growth, it's video games. People love video games. It's going to happen. So I'm kind of sticking my toes out there, and we'll see what comes of it. But I think that's going to be a big, whoever's talking about that, and kind of get in that space early is going to be happy.
Okay, that's great advice. What would your best piece of advice be for investors this year? You can go resource, you can go wider than that, whatever you think.
Part of it is there's going to be a lot of pain this year, so I don't shy away from that. I've never been a big fan of the FANG stocks, and they did a bit of a turnaround there at the end of the year. I think they've got lots more to go. There's going to be a lot of debt problems. But my advice to people is that don't just sell everything. That's the worst thing you could do, is that when there's places that get hit hard, they need to find new sectors and new money, and they need to get that money working for them. And that's where I think with the negative outlook that a lot of people see out there is that's positive. It's going somewhere. So I think that people are open to mining because it's an asset. They go, I need to get into resources because it's an actual asset, something I can hold. And that is the foundation of anything tech anyway. And there's a fundamental shift of green, clean tech that's not changing, whether it's electrical vehicles, solar panels in California where it's mandated on new houses. So all of these things are longer term trends that I like. And I think that people should be looking at those rather than what's hot. Like, I don't want to bash on like a weed company, but I'm not much into that space myself. But you should be taking some of your gains in some of the other sectors maybe and looking for undervalued sectors and say, you know what, this one's been played out. I should be shifting into something that really has a value and it's undervalued.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I think we'll leave it there. That was great. Once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and this is Andrew O'Donnell with Supercharged Stocks.